What's up, everyone? It's your boy Richard Graves of the Richard Graves Group. How you doing? I got my guy Jonathan. He's coming on with us today. He's always a contributor to the Richard Graves Group, and I always appreciate his input. I know this is kind of quick. We just put this one up. Got a lot of things going on. Obviously, still finishing the PhD program. Got a new book out. We'll talk about that. Working on the other new book that'll be coming out next month. And just a few things came up in the news cycle. Me and Jonathan decided to talk about them. Thank you guys for joining us. I'll try to keep up with the chat on Facebook and YouTube. You guys got to look over me. I'm not the super technology dude, but I'm gonna do that. And without further delay, let me bring on my boy Jonathan. What up, Jonathan?
Hey,
how's it up there in Michigan, bro?
it's all right. It's still sunny. I'm well rested this time.
Okay, yeah. Last time, boy, I was like, good, tired. And I'm interviewed Man Parrish, one of my idols in electronic music, and I was sick, and I was on medication. I was just trying to keep it, and I was doing the interview. So it was rough, man. But we got through it. I'm thankful. Shout out to Man Parrish, man, from the Boogie Down Bronx and hip hop bebop and B-Boys Beware, foundations of hip hop music. In fact, just to let y'all know, we're going to be doing some more shows. I'm going to try to get Farley Jackmaster Funk to come up. I've been asking him, and Kevin Saunderson and Derek May and Juan Atkins, Carl Bias, a few more house people trying to get Fast Steady. Julian's running for office right now, Julian John Perez, so go vote for him. But I'm probably not going to be able to get him because now he's doing the politician thing. But other than that, man, let's go ahead and jump into it, bro. So first, before we get in with this thing with Deshaun Washington, and y'all, we talked about Deshaun Washington a little bit off camera here.
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. I'm sorry, we talked about the young man. As y'all can tell, I don't know much about football aside from that I'm a 49ers fan, so that's about it. And I don't like the Cowboys. But other than that, though, we talked about it, so I'm gonna have to talk through this other topic first because I don't want my mouth to get the wrong way with Mr. Watson, because Jonathan's telling me my mouth is in the wrong place with it. It's really in the wrong place with it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this $10,000 student loan forgiveness stuff. All right, Jonathan, I don't know, did you take out any loans for school?
Listen, let me tell you, bro. The answer is yes. I got $40,000. I graduated.
Now you got 30.
Huh?
Now you got 30.
And listen, I graduated in 2003.
Wow.
I have not paid them a quarter.
Really?
The system.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's certain ways that I did it that were very legal.
Okay, as long as it's legal.
Very legal. I made a certain amount of income and a certain family size. Yeah. That allowed me to defer. And I did that and did that and did that. It's coming to a head now. As a realtor, I make a lot of money. Okay. But on my taxes, it may look different. That's all I'm saying.
We're recording this, right?
Everything's legal.
Okay.
Everything's on up and up. Everything's legal. It's a paper trail. They want to come get me. They know where I'm at anyway. They can find me. It's all legal. Then everything above board. It's all a paper trail. But one of my biggest things about student loans and is the fact that it's the only loan where you can borrow up to $100,000 for somebody who doesn't even have a job.
So now that you touch that,
even if that ain't predatory lending, I don't know what it is.
You know what I'm about to say. Okay,
right.
First of all, I'm gonna say this. I'm paying for my degree, right? With cash, and I have had student loans before, but also had some grants and some scholarships and stuff like that along the way. My thing is this. First of all you people out there, I'm gonna talk to the people. All you people out there who claim that you never took out a student loan, you don't have a degree, so it's not your problem, and people who take out their loans need to handle their loans themselves. Okay, that would be absolutely true if these loans were given like loans are supposed to be given. Basically, let me explain what a student loan really is, since everybody's talking about the borrower. A student loan is an unsecured loan. Number one, an unsecured loan is a loan that a bank takes risk on. All right, that's why it's hard to get an unsecured loan. If you or I, maybe with my credit right now, maybe I can get maybe 5, 10 grand. But if I tried to borrow $100,000 with no collateral, no guarantor, not happening. Okay. So here's my thing. If these banks decided to give unsecured loans to 18-year-olds based on what they say they think they want to do when they're 22, 24, 26 years old. Okay. That I don't know what type of capitalism you guys come from, but let me tell you how capitalism works. A bank is a business. When you start a business in capitalism, the best thing we could do is make an even playing field for people. All right. That's what regulation is supposed to be for, to make sure there's no distortions in the market. All right. That everybody's playing as fair as we can play. So a bank is a business. It is loaning money to people at a substantial risk. But that bank is smart. They have lobbyists that go to Springfield or go to DC. They go to Washington, DC, and they rent seek, pay people to place legislation. So not only are we going to give this unsecured loan to a 18-year-old person, we're also going to insulate ourselves and not allow that person to file bankruptcy years later. So now risk on there. And on top of it, it's going to be government backed. It's a government backed loan. So you are the taxpayer. If that person defaults, that is absorbed by the American people. Okay, so hear me out. The bank has rent-seeked itself into a situation where they can give an unsecured loan and assume none of the risk. That's not capitalism. You want to talk about socialism in regard to paying the $10,000. The socialism is taking the risk away from the bank. The bank has no risk. What business can you or I start where our risk is going to be subsidized by the American people? So you are rewarding banks for giving a bad loan, a dangerous loan. This is worse than the housing loans. I mean, this is worse. This is unsecured. At least the housing loans, you get a house, they don't get nothing. All right. And the person who defaults, if they die, sometimes the spouse might get with the bag, but normally it's the American people that get stuck with the bag. So what you have is that we have never had a conversation about the true cost of what these loans are about, what education is. You're borrowing this money for an education, all right? You got people paying $60,000, $70,000 becoming social workers, all right? Social workers don't make that much money for the most part. And we need social workers. So we really need to look at fundamentally what is wrong with the system. The problem is we've allowed banks to give these unsecured loans without them having any risk at all right? And this has allowed schools to charge more money because they know the kids can get the money. So if we did this by regular capitalism rules, by regular supply and demand and risk and reward, the bank, if I want a student loan from a bank and I go and say, I want to get a student loan paid for my master's degree or my bachelor's degree, all right, then they should look at the risk. What's your bachelor's degree going to be in? Basket weaving? No. Engineering? Maybe. Let's see your grades. There's a lot of things they need to see to make an educated decision. So we've created a system where the banks make money and the schools make money, and the American people are on the hook. Now, for all you who don't have degrees, all right, well, next time you go see a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer or a psychologist or the people teaching your children, if you're fine with them not having degrees and we can make it so you don't require a degree to do anything, no degree is necessary to become a surgeon. No degree is necessary to become a teacher. No degree is necessary to become a lawyer. If that works for you, the American people, then change the rules so nobody has to go get degrees to do these things. All right. And also change it. The people that fix your cars, they don't have to go to automotive school. The people that fill your prescriptions, they don't need to go to pharmacy school. The people who do your paralegal work, they don't have to go to paralegal school. Let's just take school out of everything and let's just let people do what they feel like they're good at doing. Or we need to rethink this whole system because the only people getting rich are the universities and the banks. And the people who are paying for it, I don't care if you took a student loan or not. You, the American people, are paying for it. Because let's look at what this $10,000 break actually is. It is actually a subsidy to the banks. The banks got that money. All right. And forgive it, none of the banks getting paid that money. Top it off. let's make it even more interesting. So the banks are getting money. The borrower is getting a break. Now there's some people that are smart like you that know how to do what they got to do, but a lot of
And I'm
people,
not in default either.
yeah,
I'm in good standing.
a lot of people are in bad situations because of these. And like I said, did anybody make you get the loan? No, you didn't. All right, but
I want to push back with that. That's not
go
true.
ahead. Mhm.
Society as a whole and the push socially, I'm not gonna say made you, but there was a coercion for that, and there was definitely a push at the time I was coming out of high school for college prep, go to college, go to this. It was a big push, and in the minds and the psyche, I was gonna say that most people can't afford to pay out of pocket to go to college, so the only way they're gonna do it is a student loan. And so while there was an option, there still was a level of coercion via all the media, via all the commercials, via all the everything. Go to college, get a degree, go to do. It was a social coercion to do so. So it was a push um, to go to school, and if the only way you can go to school is a student loan, is a push to get a student loan. Fill out that FAFSA. So it's a sense of a social push, and then you have the financial institutions willing to give you this money uh, with no job, absolutely no job, absolutely nothing to guarantee that I will ever pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's predatory lending at its finest.
It is predatory lending. And let's be clear, we know in American society, we need to, obviously, there's careers that you need to get a degree for. All right. But in most careers, you have to have some type of secondary education. All right. So even if you want to be a barber, you got to go to barber school. I think that our financial aid system should be available to any secondary education that is accredited. All right. Another thing is these scam schools. We've allowed a system where people can start up a school that isn't accredited and take money from people. And it's like, come on, man, why are we even doing this? And I know that there's accreditation is necessary for certain financial aid, but then there's the predatory lending that goes on with loans from private banks to privately, not through the student loan system, I believe. They're like private student loans based on your own income or whatever the heck it is. But even with those, it's like, okay, so you're loaning money, people go to bootleg schools. Not that the education level isn't good at those schools. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the accreditation isn't there, so you can get stuck holding the bag, you know. Um, but the reality is, you're right. It's predatory lending at its finest. It's a scam that the banks and the universities concocted and rent seeked and went to Washington and rent seeked the legislation to make it seem like a good thing, but it's really a bad thing. So the actuality is, yes, you don't have to go to college, all right? But if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a social worker or a teacher, yeah, you probably do. If you want to be an engineer, if you want to be an architect, there are fields that you have to go to a university or college. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with going for automotive mechanics or to be an aircraft mechanic, to be heating and air conditioning person, or going into trades. I think all of that should be supported because that makes productive citizens. That makes productive tax-paying citizens. That's what we should want. Productive tax-paying citizens. That builds the country. So, it's not just about the individual student, it's about our society as a whole. What type of people are we making? What type of people are we making? All right. Do we want people out there? I mean, yeah, we got people that start their own businesses. We have people that are happy working as a clerk at a grocery store for the rest of their lives. That's fine. I'm not judging it. All work is good. If you're happy, do it. All right. But at the same time, you know, we do need people to get trained in things. We need nurses to get trained. We need doctors. It is what it is. So we need to start thinking about what the real cost is and what the real investment in society is. And that is what a lot of our conversations really come down to. What is the true cost of what we're talking about? What is the true cost? What is the true value of it? And sometimes, that's not simply dollars and cents. We have to measure a few metrics to understand what the true cost of something we're paying for and what the true benefit is. We talked about that when we talked about the prison system. Again, cost. What are we paying for? What are we getting? What is the true cost and what is the benefit? And when is it an investment that has a return? That's what we have to think about. But nobody's thinking about that. Everybody's in their emotions. You got people who, And then you got people on my side of the wing, the right wing, that, oh my God, this is socialism. Meanwhile, you got all the senators and congressmen that did those PPP loans and, did them for, 40, 50, $100,000 or more. They got forgiven. That definitely aren't going to get investigated with these new IRS agents. They looking for the little homies, the scammers. That's who they going for. So the same people who got forgiven these big old loans are talking crazy about students, some nurse or some social worker that got a $10,000 break on their damn student loans. It's really absurd and it's obscene if you really think about it. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, man. I think we're kind of moving away, or at least we're expanding our paradigm of what kids do after college. I have one that is college bound. I have one that may be trades bound. We kind of identify early which your kid may be more prone to going to doing, and certainly the one who's going to be in a trade is going to come out making more money faster than the person with a degree. Because the trade may be 9 months to 2 years, if that, depending on what you're talking about. And then nowadays, especially here in Michigan, electrician, you go into the program making $15 an hour with benefit, $15 an hour with benefit. You come out 25, 30, $50 after you're done with the program. And you could be 18, 20 years old making that money while the other person's still in college.
So it's just different paths for what your real goal is.
Yeah.
Everybody is not trying to go be a PhD to be a professor. Everybody's not trying to get a JD and be a lawyer. Everybody's not trying to go to medical school. But again, for those who do, these are people that are serving society in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just like the janitor serves society, the garbage man serves our society, so does the teacher and the nurse and the social worker. I get tired of people acting like the only real work is if you're working with your hands on some fish dock or a farm or something. And that's real work. But let's be real. All work is work. It all moves our society. It all moves our economy. It's all interlinked.
Yeah.
The social worker who's out there helping people not commit suicide or get off drugs or, guiding them through school or whatever, goes and buys that fish that the guy is handling and cutting the heads off of at the fish market. It goes and buys the grain that the farmer is farming, so it's all interrelated and people need to get off of it, man. What I find is it's a weird type of jealousy and hatred. America has always been an anti-intellectual place. It's always been, let's be real. I mean, it's always been, Americans have this myth in their mind that they all work by the sweat of their brow and pull themselves up by the bootstraps, which is a fiction. All right. We all work. And at some point, somebody has to give you a hand up. But more importantly, we have really denigrated the work of teachers and social workers and, and even nurses and doctors, except when the COVID hit, then all of a sudden everybody's a critical employee. But before that time, nobody respected that work. Or at least, people feel like, I don't know, that, they feel inferior if they don't have a degree. Let me be clear, people. I got a bunch of degrees. All right. And I'm going to say this. All right. That doesn't make me any better or any worse than anybody else.
All right, hold on. Stop. Hold on. Let me stop.
Yeah.
Let me stop. As far as the value as a human being, without question, you're not any better. But when it comes to the degree of knowledge that you acquired, you are better in that field than somebody who does not have that degree of knowledge.
Okay,
I do not believe in that. We're not better. That's bullcrap.
Let me rephrase.
Some of us are better, Rich. And damn it, that's just the truth.
You're trying to bring out, I got my Doom shirt on. You're trying to bring out my aristocrat. No, what I mean by not better, a degree means that you are knowledgeable in a field. That doesn't mean you're smarter than anybody. It doesn't mean that you're better than anybody as human value. Just in that particular field, you are more knowledgeable than most people. And yes,
you're superior.
Yeah. And yes, there are. You really try to walk me into this. All right. Now, there are people, I forgot those people, what do they call it? Didactics, people that are able to learn, like Abraham Lincoln, read a bunch of books and learn stuff. There's people that can do that.
Yeah.
But that's not most people.
No, it's not.
Right. So, but the reality is a surgeon like Ben Carson. All right. Ben Carson is a brilliant surgeon without question. I can't do what he does. I don't understand what he does. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a brilliant astrophysicist. I don't do what he does. I don't know. I mean, I can listen to him talk and kind of follow some of what he's saying when it comes to astrophysics. But at the end of the day, I have to acknowledge that he is an expert in that particular field. In America, we have this problem with acknowledging anybody's an expert in anything. Everybody's an expert in everything, and no one's an expert in anything, is what it comes down to. I told you about conversations I've had when I talk to people, and I don't ever bring it up. They'll bring it up first. We'll be having to talk about history or something. And I'll be saying George Washington was the first president of the United States. And then they'll come with that there was a black president before George Washington, which is complete fiction. All right. They'll come with that, and I'll call it a fiction. Then they go, well, when I studied history at blah, 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 college, and I had history 112 or 140, I learned blah, blah, blah. So I said, oh, that's nice. Well, I have a master's degree in history. I'm actually a historian. Well, why are you bringing education up? You brought it up. And I'm sorry that in that particular field, I'm a bit more knowledgeable than you, but like I said, but again, nobody's an expert. Everybody's an expert. That's a problem in American society. And then it causes this whole anti-intellectualism. So you got a bunch of people mad at people with degrees, and they think everybody with a degree is a damn liberal, and I'm gonna blame the left on that one, because the left has a habit of ridiculing people for not being college educated, like how they refer to voters. White, uneducated, non-college voters, when they say that, I get offended. I'm not even white. And then when they talk about, like, remember when Biden won, I think it was South Carolina, and the left was losing their cool over it. And they said, well, it's mostly older, uneducated African Americans. I'm like, really? So the left has a habit of, if you disagree with them, you got to be, obviously you're uneducated. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't help people with this whole anti-intellectualism in America. I think the right kind of embraces it, even though the people who embrace it are elitists who are all generally Ivy League schools, and they want to act like they're the average everyday Joe. I can drink a beer with this guy, but they've Harvard, Yale graduates, whatnot. But they want to act like we love the uneducated. That's what Trump said, And then you got the left who wants to sit there and ridicule people who don't have formal education, I'll say. So, but neither this nor that. That's neither here nor there. I just said that because part of the problem is people are like, those guys got a degree and they think they're smarter, but now they're broke and they got to pay their loans. It's like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? It should not cost as much for a person to become a nurse or a social worker or a teacher. It shouldn't cost that much. And if it is costing that much, we need to look at what we're doing here. We know that teachers in many cases don't make much money. So shouldn't their education costs be commensurate with their future income potential? That's called risk assessment that the banks should be doing, but it's not, So we need to rethink that whole system. I'm going to say that. Now, as far as why I went in on the left a little bit, I got to shamelessly plug here. My new book. The Question of Evil by Richard A. Graves, available on Amazon.com, and also available on the Richard Graves Group website. Please go to it. But my new book is a theodicy. It's an ontological argument regarding I'm exercising my philosophy chops. So let everyone know I am a philosopher. I'm a theologian. I'm a historian, and I am a political scientist. That is by academic disciplines. Like I said, I have multiple degrees. All right. And I'm not bragging about them, just letting you know why I felt qualified to write an ontological book about philosophy. So in this particular book, and Jonathan is going to get a copy next week. He's going to read it, and then he's going to interview me. But so I'm not going to go deep. But this particular book answers the question of evil. All right. Now, there is the official term is the logical problem of evil. And that comes down to God being all good, God being all knowing, and God being all powerful. Those three premises are taken on one side of this particular derivation, and the other side is we have evil. So the question is, how does evil exist if God is all powerful, meaning that he can do anything, he can end evil? He's all knowing, meaning that he knows evil exists, and he's all good, meaning that he should not want evil to exist. Evil in the form of moral evil. We'll talk about was it physical evils later, but moral evil is like the people that shot up the school. Why would God allow that? There's a lot of people that ask that question. A lot of believers.
Can I give them the answer real quick or no?
No.
Because Neo said it when he talked to the architect. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, no, well, we'll talk about the answer. But the question itself is what I focus on. The question is not it's not a valid question. It's not really a valid argument. It's actually a logical fallacy. And this upsets people when I point out that it is a logical fallacy. It's a straw man argument. All right. And the people say, well, back your argument up. That's like me saying water is wet. Water makes things wet. How do I back that up? It's true. If you know anything about logic, and all these atheists swear they're so logical and rational, if you know anything about logic, the whole thing is a straw man. It's a classic straw man argument because you're restricting three premises. All right, you're not allowing another premises. That's a straw man. So if I say, well, what about free will? What about you're not allowing any of that. You're not allowing any of the other attributes of the God that I believe in. Therefore, it's a logical fallacy. It is not a logical argument. It's not a logical question. And that's just for the question of it. You and I know for the actuality of evil. I always sum it up pretty much, but I go a little bit more detail in the book. I sum that up to being the fact that we are given free will and that has a consequence. All right. And that we chose that free will in rebellion against God. Regardless if you believe the Garden of Eden story is literal or if you believe it's figurative, it doesn't matter. The point of the story remains the same. The choice was made at some point. But please tell us, what is the answer to the question? Why does God...
You said it so eloquently. Neo said, the problem is choice.
Actually, choice is the problem. Now, the atheist then argues, then God must be evil by allowing that choice.
So, and this is my reply, classic reply.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
There's four types of universes God could have created. He could have not created a universe at all. He could have created one that was all good, in which we would know evil, or in which we couldn't have choice, or he can create it that's all evil, which we wouldn't know good. So all evil or all good, kind of the same thing, because you don't know the difference because there's nothing to compare it to. Mm-hmm. Or he can create a world where there is choice. In a world where there's choice, that is the only world where love is possible.
That's very poetic, sir. Maybe that was why there was so much on the Matrix regarding the point of the love between Neo and Trinity.
Matrix was brilliant.
Yeah, it was. It was a brilliant story. I mean, regardless of what religious faith you are, you can find some actualities there, that some truths there that are universal. That being said, yeah, so as I was telling you, I put an ad up on the Richard Graves group page, and it goes across the country, targets certain people. So I got a bunch of atheists coming on. Somebody please tell these atheists I'm not Ken Ham. I'm going to roast you, talk about you. I'm not going to cuss you out. I'm not going to insult you personally, but I will insult your intelligence if you start saying dumb things. I'll make it very clear that, what you're saying is stupid. I have no problem telling you that in so many nice ways. But that being said, a lot of questions I see that people really don't get it. To me, I'm not making an argument. I'm making a statement. I'm telling you a fact. I'm saying, hydrogen and oxygen makes water. That's a fact. It's not an argument. So I'm saying in this logical derivation, if you have these three premises and this conclusion, you have created a straw man argument, and that's it. It's not valid. It's not a valid argument. It's invalid. It's just not logical. It's emotional. You can be emotional about it. Now, if you wish to restrict your God to these three presuppositions, then you have a different God than the one I believe in. Now, maybe it's Zeus or Odin or Shango or, Lumidare, or I don't know which one you believe in, but the God that I believe in operates in more than three premises. So if you're unwilling to accept the other premises that come with my God, then there's no point in us having this conversation, because you're talking about a God that you created in order for yourself not to believe in. And that's fine. That's your prerogative, but acknowledge that that is what you have done. Mm-hmm. The argument came because of a conversation that I had regarding something Neil deGrasse Tyson said, who I believe is a brilliant astrophysicist, but I think he needs to stay out of talking about history because he uses no proper historiographical methodology. He just says things are blatantly true.
A doctor, a biologist, a geologist, a goddamn masseuse,
political scientist.
He knows everything about everything.
Comic book expert. I see him commenting on Marvel all the time. Wrong comments too. But yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson, even though he has a PhD is a philosophy degree, and he looks down on the fields of philosophy and really down on the field of theology. Well, my friend, I'm going to say this for anyone who knows the man. Stay in your lane, bro. You're not a philosopher. You're not a theologian. And the arguments you make are weak. They're emotional. They're not logical or rational. All right. So just own that. And that's it. That's all. And anytime you want to talk about it, I'm your Huckleberry. Not a problem. We can have that discussion. That being said, let's move on. But once again, Question of Evil, available, Amazon.com. Pick it up. Now let's get to the one I was afraid to talk about, Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the situation with Mr. Washington, would you?
So we know a couple years ago, Deshaun Watson was with the Houston, that's not the Houston Oilers anymore. Shoot, the Houston Texans.
The Houston Texans.
Quarterback for the Texans. He was unhappy with the situation there, and he demanded ownership give him a trade. He wanted to be traded out of there. So, not too long after he requested his trade, allegations of sexual assault by Deshaun Watson come out. So, time goes on. Woman after woman comes out. Masseuse after masseuse. We get up to 22. 22 allegations of sexual assault. My first thing was he's already going to be crucified because most people think, oh, well, if 22 people said it, then it must be true.
Can I say one thing before you go any further? I am, and I'm not talking about this specific case, but in general, I find it fascinating that people do not believe that it is possible to get a whole bunch of people to agree with a lie. People say, sure, well, so many women came forward. I'm like, do you realize that you're talking about a guy with millions of dollars, that there is a payday that can be got here? Now, if you're talking about Gino from around the corner or Leroy from down the street, hey, he ain't got it that they're trying to get it. Right. So let's not act like that greed cannot be a motive for a group of lawyers who we know are greedy to get a bunch of people together to agree with one narrative. Not saying that this happened or did not happen, but let's dismiss the idea that, it's not possible for a group of people to get together and conspire to lie about something. But anyway, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, Nazi Germany propaganda. I got a lot of people to believe a whole lot of things.
Right.
But anyway, so NFL puts him on a hiatus, I guess, and he doesn't play. Finally comes to what they're going to do. Roger Goodell hires an ex-federal judge, who's a woman, by the way, to make decisions on these kinds of cases instead of Roger Goodell doing it. And so she comes out and says, she examines all the evidence and says, there's no precedent for this. I recommend Roger Goodell, you give him 6 games. Roger Goodell was not happy, even though he chose this form of arbitration to deal with these things. He's not happy with what he just instituted. So he looks like an idiot anyway. Now, you choose to use this person to decide these things, and you're not happy with what the person you chose to decide it is doing. So now you're going to override that and say you really want more. He wanted an indefinite suspension. And so we know this is public outcry because it looks bad because 22 people have come forth and said there are sexual assault allegations. Now, the truth of it is there were no criminal charges found. As I understand, there were 2 grand juries that did not find any cause for charges on any of the 22 cases. So there were no criminal charges filed. Obviously, it's going to be civil cases. We don't know. We don't know how that's going or whatnot. But he's not guilty of anything, and Deshaun Watson still maintains his innocence in that. However, his side came to Roger Goodell with a proposal of 11 games, right? And let me tell you how bogus this is. But came to a proposal of 11 games and a fine, and they agreed to that. So he's going to serve 11 games. He's now with the Cleveland Browns. Guess who he plays the game he comes back?
Houston.
Fascinating. Isn't that convenient for ratings?
Wow. Well, I'm gonna say this. There's been a lot of these things from the judge. Was it Judge Roberts? Was it? I
What?
think the new judge with the sexual
Oh,
assault.
so back when he was 17, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
Well, obviously,
Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh,
Yeah.
and of course there was R. Kelly, um,
That nigga guilty.
Bill Cosby. Well, yeah, I mean some we would agree are
We've
dead
been knowing
guilty.
about him.
Yeah,
I
some are
know
dead.
people he saw.
Some are dead guilty. Like Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly, I would say are clearly guilty and deserve whatever they get. Um, with Bill Cosby, there's a whole lot of questions around that.
Yeah.
Rather, whatever your opinion is, there's a lot of questions around that.
Yeah.
And like with this young man, now these were massage therapists, and the stories I've read so far have been he forced them to touch his penis, he forced one to perform oral sex, and from what I gather within criminal law, if you force someone to perform oral sex, if that can be proven, or there's going to be some, that's a whole different situation. I mean, there's a situation you force someone to touch you sexually, you touch one sexually, you're going to get criminally charged. So I find it always, when there's not a criminal charge and we still choose to prosecute people, it seems like everybody's fine when it's something that they want, you know. Like, for example, when OJ got off, he got off criminally, but they got him civilly,
They sure
you
did.
know. And I believe they should have in that case. When Trayvon Martin was killed, the guy got off. I think the guy was dead guilty. All right. But he got off by legal technicalities, by the castle law and all that stuff. So, and Bill Cosby, I heard he's out because of a technicality, because they used into evidence something that should not have been used in evidence. I think the depositions.
Yeah.
So again, with that, it's hard when people are not prosecuted for something you believe they did. All right. But at the same time, and of course, in the adversarial system, in the court system, guilty until proven innocent. That's the court system. And the court of public opinion has no such rules. That's market. That's all market. That's all money. All right. And now the NFL didn't penalize him because of some moral code. They penalized him because they feared the market repercussions.
Yep.
They didn't do anything. All right, because and it is what it is. You have to do something. I don't know if he's guilty of doing this to these women. If he is, then I hope that he's dealt with appropriately. If he is not, then that's really foul. I don't know. I can't make a call on that because, again, if there were 22 women accusing the guy down the street who makes $12 an hour at the local Piggly Wiggly, I might be so inclined to think you're not doing it for money. But when you're talking about these NFL and NBA players, or even actors or whatever, not that they are above doing it, because R. Kelly was a very rich man. However, we're pretty confident he did it, and he was found guilty in the court of law. So Weinstein, very wealthy man, but we from what I read, he was guilty of sin. So with this kid, I can't make that determination based on information I have. So I'm not trying to be insensitive to the ladies who may have been assaulted. I just don't know based on what I'm reading, and it's settled now. I'm sure there's a civil suit. There's money getting exchanged. People are shutting up, So what I will say to the young black men and young white men too, gentlemen, make better choices. And what I mean by that, I'm a Christian and I've been a young man before. I get it. You're young, it's there. And I'm not trying to re-go over your upbringing and tell you to be upstanding and to abstain before marriage. Honestly, for the young men who are listening, yeah, please abstain until marriage. Because every woman you have sex with is a potential mother of your children. That's the big one. Two, obviously disease and things like that. And then there's also the psychological aspect of it, and the emotional and the spiritual aspects as well. But I'm going to say this. We tell our women to be chaste, and I'm telling our young men they need to be chaste too. And, to hold it down. All right. or be sure. And if you're going to start before marriage, just think about those things before you do. And as far as the partying, the massages and stuff like that, don't do it.
Right.
I mean, if I was an NFL, NBA player, I would find the biggest, strongest heterosexual male to do my massages. So he wouldn't be able to say, I said, look at this dude. If I tried doing it, he'd beat my butt. That's, I'm finding that's, I'm not having no females do my massages, because at the end of the day, this is what can be said, whether it's true or not. You open yourself up to that sort of thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't get a massage, and I know it's part of, they work out and they get bruised and they're out there playing rough. But there are male massagers that are not, male massage therapists that, and what I mean by heterosexual, not that it has to be heterosexual, but if it's a homosexual, he can, they can claim that that you knew that and you forced them to perform something on them, and people might look at that a certain type of way, but just say, hey man, this guy, he's a straight guy, he's 6'5", 240, and I'm 6'2", 180, and and I couldn't force him to do a damn thing, and keep the door open, damn it. If you're gonna have a female massager, keep the door open. I want everybody to see what's going on. Do it in the middle of the locker room, everybody walking by. Ain't no questions. What do you need privacy for? He's got to see you butt ass naked every day. So what they care about you getting massaged in front of them. I'm just saying you got to make better choices, because ultimately you put yourself in situations where accusations can happen. Preacher Creflo Dollar, right? Creflo Dollar, and regardless of how you guys feel about Creflo, this is a story. Creflo doesn't go into hotel rooms before his security goes into the room first. Everybody made fun of Mike Pence by saying that he doesn't go to dinner with women that ain't his wife. The Bible says avoid the very appearance of evil. Right? So you got to think about what you're doing in order to, should you have to think about all that? No, but you have to. You live in a real world where people can sometimes try to take advantage of a situation and say something that didn't happen. All right. Because all you got is that person's word against your word most of the time. And, and that can end bad for you. I'm just saying. That's my little tidbit of advice. And again, I'm not trying to say everybody's going to be abstinent. I pray that you do be abstinent. Honestly, I'm going to be straight up. Did I start early? Yeah, I started early when I was young, having sex. I started early. In retrospect, I wish I hadn't. I lucked out. I didn't have any kids with anybody, at least that I don't know about. Let me knock on wood somewhere. What I'm saying, though, I tell my sons the same thing. I wish I had not had, because of the emotional, what we call soul ties in the Pentecostal church, but the emotional connections you make with people, it's just, it becomes complicated, and honestly, this is one of those things that you should make sure that you're with someone at least that you care about, that if God forbid they get pregnant and choose to have a child, that you're not going to hate the day you ever saw this person, But let me quit preaching, not for nothing. I'm gonna leave it alone. What are your words on the subject, my friend?
It's a shame that he's violated the code of conduct for the NFL based on allegations. He wasn't found guilty of anything. And it's we have to draw the line somewhere. I understand that's public outrage, but the biggest thing is should he be penalized at all?
Well, let's be real.
For something he's not guilty of.
Well, again,
not only not guilty, Rich, no charges for any 22 cases we brought.
What he is paying the penalty for, okay? He's paying a market penalty for bad judgment.
I get you.
Right.
I understand.
That's what he's paying the cost for. Bad judgment. He put himself, if it didn't happen, he put himself in a situation where it looks suspect.
Yeah.
Like I said, open the damn door.
Yeah.
There is no reason. You're a big boy. You in the locker room with these dudes. Y'all see each other naked every day. Hey, put that table right there while everybody in here. All right. I'm gonna have the homies stay. Security. Give me a female security officer. Stay. Videotape the damn session. I'm sorry. Now, after this happens, I would hope that every NFL player, every NBA player, anybody who's super wealthy that's getting in any situation, and videotape that. Run the camera, run it. So, hey, wait a minute, let's pull the tape. No, this was what happened. Our
Mm-hmm.
session. I didn't touch her. She didn't touch me. As you see, she left out the door. I signed a little payment, whatever. She gone. That's it. That would have saved him a whole lot of grief, would it not?
Yeah.
Because you're putting yourself in these situations. And if that videotape showed that you did something you weren't supposed to do, like with R. Kelly, guess what? Now you're going to deal with those criminals. Now you have undoubted. Look what he did. You know. So, like I said, I don't know if he did, if he didn't. I don't know the guy.
Right.
You know, there was like 18 massage therapists that said he never acted inappropriately.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going by numbers, he wouldn't have got a gang of massage therapists said he never touched them.
Mm-hmm.
There was a gang that said they did. You know, so the people want to say, well, he got paid those. Well, why come those weren't paid? We don't know. Mm-hmm. And obviously they just got paid. There's a settlement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it is what it is. I pray that no woman or even man has to be the victim of sexual assault or sexual abuse or any of that. You know, so if this happened to them, they deserve the money they got. And I hope that they get the justice they're looking for. If it didn't happen, shame on you, you know. And with him, I'm going to say, don't put yourself in those situations, you know, because people can say anything.
Yeah, celebrities and sports figures have to, they got to move different. They just have to. Yeah. They got to move different and be cautious and, you know, what they do. And it's just a whole nother world. And I always wonder, like, why don't you ought to have security or somebody riding rolling with you at all times.
Man, let's say I sell 1 million books, I got security day. As soon as that royalty check come, mm-hmm. You know, I know a lot of law enforcement professionals. I'm gonna have somebody, mm-hmm. you know, because you need a witness, man, because people will say anything, you know, people will say anything, especially if there's a political or a financial motive involved, mm-hmm. or if it's a personal vindictive motive, you know.
Like, I don't want to be here no more. I want to be traded. And then 2 weeks later, assault allegations. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that could go, man.
Go.
But now, speaking of other people, we didn't talk about this, but Kells got found guilty on, what was it, August 17th? He got his 30-year sentence.
Let me tell you about Kells, bro. Let me hold on, bro. Let's back this thing up. Man, we've been knowing about Kells, bro. I know 2 people who have met Kells. That nigga's guilty of sin. And this is back then. He was dealing with 14-year-olds, okay? One good friend of mine, she was in the music business, in the music industry, got around Kells. Kells was looking for the youngest thing moving in there. That's what she told me. Flat out. The one who was shy and young. That's what Kells was looking for. Kells ass need to go to jail.
Well, he's a predator. I mean, if you look at the type of women he went for, even the adult ones, when I was watching the special, when you hear them talk, he went for a specific type of adult women. And that's why he went with young women. Now, you know, let me get this out, because I know there's people that are going to watch. Well, the families and the people, there's a lot of people that are guilty. You're right. But at the end of the day, he's a grown man. And you and I both know that if we mess with a girl that is under 17, is it 18 or 17?
Depending on the state, whether age.
Depending on the state, if we mess with an underage girl, we go into jail.
Flat out.
Just that simple.
Right.
You know, so he knew that, and he chose to do it anyway.
And he didn't just choose.
I don't care if the parents.
He's been doing it for decades, bro.
Yeah, I don't care if the parents drop the girls off at his house, at the studio. I don't care if the parents watch you do it. It's still you. And this comes down to something I want to talk about in the Black community, about the brothers, Black men. All right. And particularly, I'm saying this to the sisters out there. All right. Y'all have a habit of not allowing Black men to be held responsible for the stuff that they choose to do. I see Black women are the ones that are leading the campaign or trying to say that every Black man locked up in prison is a political prisoner. No, some of them need to be locked up.
Some of them niggas deserve to be there.
All right. Like that the system, this and the system, we got to protect our Black men. No, the Black men need to be protecting you. All right. Number one. Number two, The brothers need the first thing about being a man is taking responsibility for your choices, be either bad or good. And I'm not saying throw away the brothers who make bad choices. I know a lot of brothers that reformed and came out of prison and started businesses and social workers and lawyers themselves, and that's great. But they have owned that they made a bad choice. And I don't know what's so hard about that. And how this applies to R. Kelly is I've heard black women, the sisters, well, he was abused as a boy. Really? He was abused. So that excuses this line of teenage girls that he violated, you know? And I don't care if the parents dropped them off or sold them or got a check or whatever. They should be, okay, you can press charges on them for prostitution, child trafficking, child sex trafficking, whatever. But at the end of the day, he chose to do this, and this is why when people don't understand rape is about power, rape is about power because R. Kelly could have found any number of 18-year-old girls who were legal that would have done the same exact thing. He would not be in jail right now.
Yeah.
He literally could have found a whole bunch of legal girls that would have done it, happily did it. All right. But he chose to manipulate young girls. He chose to do that. So that means that's something he wanted to do. It's not just a sex act, or if he wanted to pee on somebody, you can find a whole bunch of 18-year-old girls. You can find dudes that would, hey, how much you gonna pay me? Pee on me. All right. Not me, not you, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's people out there that would love to be, there's people that get peed on for free. They like that stuff. All right, let's just be real. All right, so he could have found people that he could have dominated in that way. He could have found adults he could have dominated in that way. Hey, look, I don't judge, man. If you're consenting adults, if that's what you want to do, hey, not for nothing. I'm not judging you. That's what you want to do. Not my bag, but hey, that's you. All right. And as long as you're a consenting adult, if you want to get peed on, so be it. All right. So he could have found people to go pee on. But instead of with all that money, he could have found a whole bunch of people to pee on. All right. But he chose to keep finding 13, 14, and 15-year-old girls to go pee on. That's what he kept doing. And at the end of the day, it's legal, bro. And you're recording it too. That's called child pornography. If you record sex with a teenage child, it's still called child pornography.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, bro. And I feel bad for the victims, first of all. These young girls' lives have been kind of messed up, and I hope they're getting the therapy that they need. All right. Because if their parents did sell them off, that's even more they got to deal with, But also, I'm gonna say that as a man, I feel sorry for him. I don't like seeing people go to prison. Well, sometimes some people I like to see go. All right, but my thing is, it's really a tragic fall from grace. It's a tragic end to that story. I just saw the Elvis movie. That was a tragic end to a story. All right, this is a tragic end to his story. I mean, this guy was a superstar. By all practical purposes, the king of R&B, homeboy from Chicago, somebody we want to see succeed, that reached the pinnacle of success and got brought down. And now you're in prison for 30 years on one charge. You got another one going up in New York, another case in New York. Who knows the time you're going to get from that? And the feds don't play. They want all their time, So I can only imagine 1 minute you're living in the lap of luxury. You got crowds cheering your name. And the next minute you just inmate number one, whatever, here's your tray. That's gotta be, whew, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But at the same time, bro, you own that one, you did that. And the sad part is you got away with it the first time. Had you chilled out, but you got emboldened. He got even more emboldened about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, bro. Your thoughts, sir. I've rambled enough.
Hey, man, listen. Like I told you, he guilty of sin, man. Bro, he was thought he was untouchable, and I don't know what to say about that, bro. Listen, your parents, listen. Parents is about my age and your age, right? We've been knowing about R. Kelly. You gonna send your child over there after we've been knowing?
We've been knowing.
We've been knowing about this nigga. Since we was younger, we've been knowing he was like that. And you gonna send your child over there? Shame on you, man. Shame on you. Shame on
Yeah,
you.
shame
Just
on
for
you.
$1, a buck? Come on, man.
Well, let's be real. I mentioned this before that in Chicago, and I'm sure in other places. All right. I don't know if you've seen this, but I'll tell you what I've seen. A lot of young girls in Chicago in the hood, their parents let them date older men, especially when it comes to school time. I've seen it. I don't care who say they ain't seen it. I've seen it where they let these young girls date older men. I've seen it. There are people situations. A 15, 16-year-old girl, guy's 30 years old. I'm like, what's going on? Well, why is he?
What?
Why are you letting? Well, he buying her school clothes. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you serious? So this ain't new. I know, let's be real. In the African American community, unfortunately, we baby the boys, and we girls is grown as soon as they like 11 or 12. They grown in everybody's eyes, and the black women are, well, girl, she fast, like that justifies anything, and the men looking, the men who are predators, looking for that. So I've seen it in Chicago, on the west side, on the south side. You know, I dare anybody when school starts. School starting now. All right, start last week. I guarantee, go to them stores, the little rainbow stores or whatever, a hood store over there, and see who's buying these young girls stuff. You see older man, it may not be her dad. All right, because they do that in Chicago, bro, and I know they do it everywhere else. So nobody know. Don't get New York, L.A., Baltimore. Don't get uppity about it because y'all do it too. Because I'm sure that this is not a phenomenon localized in Chicago. I've seen it. Letting the young girls date the older men, not boys, older men. So they can get their school code. Girl, he drive her everywhere. All that, man. Come on, man. So we don't value our young black girls anyway, and we need to. We don't let them be girls. We grow them up fast. You know, so we need to let our children be children, male and female. You know, but let me quit. As they say, not for nothing. I'm saying this. God forbid if I've said something that offend, but hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna put it out there. Anything you have to add, bro?
That's to tell it to, hey man, listen, don't be mad because student loans getting forgiven, bro. You're gonna pay for it anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna pay for it anyway.
Listen, we had that same energy when all these corporations got bailed out. I'm just saying.
No.
You know what I'm saying? They provide jobs. No, well, they can get jobs in other places that weren't so shady. How about that?
And that goes back to the whole capitalism thing. If you take a risk and you fail, you have a business, you're a realtor. I have a business, I'm a writer. I wrote books. I'm taking a risk by paying for books, sending them out, and I could fail and nobody could buy them. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. You could fail, and nobody come to bail us out.
Nobody.
So the thing is, let capitalism be capitalism. The people that are hating on the student loans, okay, you're right. Let the banks actually do loans that they can actually do the risk assessment on an unsecured loan.
Right.
And don't let you rent seek. You're going to rent seek. You're the only loan that can't be filed for bankruptcy. I'm sure there's a lot of people that loan money wish they could get that deal.
Right.
A lot of credit card companies wish they could get that deal.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this too. And we go back to the whole issue of degrees. The more education that you get, or licensures, or certificates, or things like that, where you're paying people a lot of money for their knowledge because you don't know. I did IT repair. I can go in and fix something in 5 minutes. You don't pay me my $110 because you're paying me not for hard work. So stop this hard work nonsense. Mm-hmm. You're paying me because I have a degree of knowledge in something, and I know how to fix it, and you don't.
Yeah, let's be real. I have a master's degree in history, and a master's degree in religion and biblical studies, and I'm a PhD candidate in public policy. That's all great. Sounds good. But let this engine go out. Ain't nothing I can do about it. No. I had to go find someone who is knowledgeable about that thing. If this computer goes down right now, my degrees ain't gonna help me with this computer. I know my lane. Let me tell you something. When I was a correctional officer, I remember the first time we started, and that generation of correctional officers had education. So a lot of the correctional officers who didn't have education was in their feelings about it because they felt we was coming to get all the promotions or whatever, yada, yada. And unfortunately, some people coming in the door were bragging about their education a little too much. So I was what we call running a showers on the gallery. All right. I worked at a Max, At the time it was maximum security, all max joint. So you have to run showers. You got to let guys out and send them to the showers. Obviously, showers could be a bad thing in a maximum security prison. I'm sure you guys have watched Oz. While it's not that mythical, things happen. So I guess one of the officers that was training me, he's gonna say, "Yeah, man, we're talking." I'm looking at the gallery. I just started, and I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "All right." I'm looking at these guys up there. I'm like, "Okay." I said, "Man, which way should I run these showers? Should I run them from this way to this way, or this way to this way?" He's gonna say, "I don't know, bro. You the one with the master's degree in history. You got the master's, saying real smart." I looked at Cuz, I was like, "Cuz, man, my degree is in history. I can tell you when this building was built. What I can't tell you right now is how to run these showers because I didn't go to school for that, And even if I did, I still got to do some practical application. So my point is that all knowledge is good. And just because you're not a lawyer doesn't mean your knowledge in fixing computer system or fixing electronics or building a house is not valuable. It's all valuable, So I get tired of that false dichotomy, the false choice. Either you're good with your hands or you're good with your mind, or you got a degree or you don't. Stupid.
What I was going to say, what I was trying to get at is that the more responsibility you have over people, or more responsibility you have over something, or in management, the less physical labor you do, but the more responsibility you have, and that's why you get paid more. Lawyers, you pay a lot of money for a lawyer. Guess what? Lawyers don't do no work.
Yeah, paralegals do.
The paralegals do all the work. All they do is show up for court. Why? Because they know how the court works, and you don't.
Yeah, and some people do, but most of us don't. Yeah, most of us don't.
Right, and well, it's like this. Pay a lot of money because you don't know how to do it.
Well, it's like this. As a correctional officer, I look back at when I was a correctional officer. Man, I do less physical work now. Like with the lieutenants and the majors, they do less physical work. They're responsible
for more.
Responsible. And if the stuff hit the fan, they're not going to the officer. They're going to, "Hey, lieutenant, hey, sergeant, why? That's why you get paid more, the more responsibility you have, because you're carrying the water." Same thing in the military. Privates, Lance Corporals. Lance Corporal is the best rank to be in the Marine Corps. You say Lance Corporal didn't know, sir. Okay. When you become a sergeant, even when you become a corporal, that I didn't know. Yeah, you're getting a little more money and you got more responsibility. And I didn't know is not the answer that anybody's going to take. I'm just saying.
Right.
So, it is what it is, man. I hear what you're saying. And like I said, I'm not, and the only reason why I was fresh in my mind was because of my new book, The Question of Evil. And because of my new book, The Question of Evil, A Practical Theodicy for the 21st Century by Richard A. Graves. The reason why it became relevant because some of the conversations I've been having with that. A lot of people did not know I was a theologian and a philosopher because most of the time I'm talking social political stuff or I'm talking about public policy, those undergrad and those graduate degrees in that as well. And, I'm a thinker, even before education, I know a lot of thinkers who don't have degrees who understand philosophy and understand theology and things of that nature. So, at the end of the day, though, it did come up because people are like, "Well, why? Who are you to write? You a historian?" No, I'm actually a philosopher, theologian as well. Oh, well, that don't mean nothing. Oh, now it don't mean nothing. Well, it was you asked, So it's just the fact that, we should respect people in their lanes. We should respect people. I respect the mechanic that could fix my engine because I know he took a lot of time to learn how to do that. That's why I respect him. I respect his craft. I don't go there and say, "Well, I have a doctorate degree. Let me tell you how this works." Now maybe if I was a mechanical engineer, maybe I could assist him in a theory of what he's doing, but I still couldn't assist him in the practical cranking the wrenches and putting stuff where it need to go. So it is what it is, But thank you for adding that a little bit.
Yes.
And so your book should be arriving on Tuesday, sir. So
okay, sweet.
Have a chance to breeze through, as they say, breeze through it. Let me know what you think, and then we'll get on and you can actually talk to me about the actual writing itself.
Yeah.
So because I'm actually, I know you have a little theological side too, so I'm actually curious as to what your
A
thoughts would be.
little training from in apologetics.
Yeah, and this is an apologetic argument. It's definitely
So I'm gonna relish it and love to see your angle on it. Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to believe that it is logical. We'll see. All right, bro. Well, we're gonna end it at this. God bless everyone. Looking forward to seeing you guys later this week when we do our next show. When Jonathan has had a chance to breeze through, we're gonna set up a show for that. And hopefully nothing too crazy happens that we got to talk about. But if it does, we'll be back. All right. God bless y'all. Take it easy. Peace.
All right.